The third thing, its solvency. Fourth thing, its viscosity. Or another thing is its density or its mass. Yet another thing is its surface tension. Another is its heat conductivity. Another is its temperatures in different states. And another is the latent heats of fusion and condensation. Now that's a sort of a big term, and I'd like to break that down for you because in fact it's interesting and we rely on this all the time. The latent heats of fusion and condensation. Because water is amazing in that it occupies three different states. Liquid, gas, and solid, that is ice. There's nothing else that actually does it. So water is really amazing. And in fact, some have likened this to the three, well, you know, I'm not going to push this, you know, as a sort of as an illustration, but some have in fact likened, you know, these three different states of water to God and to the Trinity. You know, three different states, all water, three different gods, but still all God. But I'm not going to push that because I think it's got its shortcomings. But here we go. Latent heats of fusion and condensation. It takes approximately 500 calories, in fact 538 to be exact, 538 calories per gram of water to turn water into steam. Okay, so it requires energy to turn the liquid state into steam. And that's called the latent heat of vaporization. That's the amount of energy it takes to turn liquid into vapor. But it only takes 80 calories per gram to turn ice into water. That's called the latent heat of fusion. Now the reason why this is kind of interesting, and there's actually a fair bit of application to this, and last year as I was working as a plastic surgery registrar, I got to see this all the time where I was having to debride a lot of burns, and burns that many of them happen through steam. People were being burned by steam. Why is it that steam burns so bad? It burns so badly because the steam is going from its vapor state back into the liquid state, and when it contacts the surface such as the skin, guess what it does? It not only turns into a different state, but what does it do? It surrenders that energy that was captured in the vapor state. So it gives off that 538 calories per gram of water, and that's why steam burns so bad. And likewise, that is why when we are out exercising and we are, you know, we're giving off all this perspiration and all this water comes out into our skin, and that skin surrenders that water and turns it off into the atmosphere. When that water that's sitting on your skin as water, as sweat, goes off into vapor, what goes off with it? Energy. And that's why when we perspire, it does so good to cool us down. For that very reason, it's wicking away heat from the surface of our skin. Clearly, Jesus here is not talking about something physical. He's clearly dealing with something that is supernatural. He's dealing with something that is beyond the earth's water. Something that earth's water, in fact, does not satisfy. Because we know that what the earth has to offer has tainted springs, something that spiritually can never satisfy us. We drink from them. We go to what the earth has got to offer in terms of entertainment, and it is never going to satisfy us. We thirst for more and more, and we can't figure out by ourselves why we just simply cannot get quenched from the sources that the world has to offer. Now I should add here that apart from spiritual thirst, the majority of humans are physically dehydrated. We are simply not drinking enough water. My wife is telling me constantly, I think you need to be drinking more. And often what we do is we eat thinking that in fact we are hungry when in fact we are thirsty. And it's just a cup of water that will satisfy our thirst and not food. And just because you're not thirsty, just because you don't feel that sensation, that physical sensation of thirst, doesn't mean in fact that you're not thirsty. In fact, thirst is a very poor indicator of your hydration status. And we're mostly all adults here in this room, and I think that you don't mind me saying these things from the pulpit, but perhaps a better indicator of our level of hydration is probably more looking at our colour of our urine as an indicator of our hydration status. And if we're not running clear urine, we're probably not hydrated. Now, there are some things that can make a difference to the colour of urine. It might be the medications you're on, it might be a vitamin B tablet that might change it to taking on a more yellow colour, but by and large I don't think that we've got that excuse to fall back on. So seriously, get your urine running clear by mid-morning if you can, because it really will make a difference to your health. Because by training we have learned to override our triggers for thirst. We have suppressed those triggers. And many of the woes that we actually experience in our physical health, in a large part, could in fact come back to our not simply drinking enough physical water. There's an interesting book that I came across some years ago. It was written by a man whose last name I can't properly pronounce, but it's something like Dr. Batman Hellige. And he wrote a book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And where he makes this claim, he says, you're not sick. He says, you're thirsty. Don't treat thirst with medication. And I think maybe he pushes the point a little bit too far, but I think there's a lot of truth in what he has to say. Last year I went to California to attend a clinic over there. It's a very special clinic. There's a medic where they do medically supervised fasting. And what they do is, I thought, nothing short of miraculous, where they took people with conditions such as type 2 diabetes, eczema, psoriasis, hypertension, high blood pressure that is, high cholesterol levels, obesity, a number of other medical conditions that here in our sort of system of conventional medicine, we would say, take a tablet, take an injection, we'll send you on your way, and hope that gets the better of things. Well, what this clinic does is say, okay, all right, we're going to start off on day one by putting you onto a vegetarian diet. In fact, we're going to put you on vegetarian sort of, the juices, whole foods, unprocessed foods, raw foods. We're going to do that for a day or two and get you off your standard American diet and your junk food diet and your hamburgers and your meats and your chickens and your junk, all this other stuff that people put into a body that was never designed to be put into a body. And we're going to do that for a day or two. We're going to kind of wean you off that, and then we're going to put you onto a fast. And it's going to be nothing but a water-only fast. Nothing to eat or drink other than water. Now, I know amongst my own medical colleagues that this would be severely frowned upon. And, when I say to my colleagues, this is what I'm doing, and they look at you and they think, you're weird, you're crazy. But when I witnessed the amazing things that happen when people do nothing but drink water, I was absolutely stunned by the results. People with lifelong eczema, fasting for 5, 6, 7 days, gone. Gone. People with high blood pressure that couldn't be treated adequately with medications across decades. After fasting for 1 week, 2 weeks, some people 3 weeks, nothing but water. Gone. Diabetes, type 2. Normal blood sugars after just a few days of being on a fast. Medications all chopped on day one of their fast. And you see these things, the impact of nothing but water, and you think, there is something to this. Reborn. And I know that the effects of this fasting can in fact be readily explained by sound medical physiology. It's nothing hokey-pokey, because I'm not into the hokey-pokey side of medicine. So come back to me. What is this living water? How would you define it? Because Jesus himself doesn't define it here in John chapter 4. As I did a little bit of reading, I found myself stumbling across a passage in Desire of Ages, page 187, and there I in fact came across Ellen White making a definition of what this living water is.